Hey tubers, what's happening, man? Have I had a great day? Welcome to TED Talks Guitars and Life. No guitars to show in this one, but a great story. Man, I was on a work call today, and there were several people on the call, and one of them said, "Hey, Ted's got a YouTube channel," and they were like, "What?" And I was like, "Well, kind of reluctantly, yeah, I got a little channel." And the person said, "What's your channel about?" I said, "Well, it's about guitars." They said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, it's this little channel, man. I'm out there talking about guitars and life, and doing stuff with guitars and all that." And this person said, "Dude, I need to introduce you to my friend Sandy." I said, "What's up with Sandy?" She said, "Sandy has an organization. Get this, guys. It's called guitaristforgood.org." And I immediately went, "Say what? I want to know more about this, man." So she said, "Well, I don't know that much about it, but it's my friend Sandy, and I'll get you the info." So a few hours later, I'm at a point in my day where I could call Sandy. So I called Sandy and I said, "Sandy, okay, Sandy, look, you don't know me from Adam. My name is Ted. I work with this mutual friend of ours, and I've got a little YouTube channel, and I would love to learn more about your charity, and I would love to know how I can give you some love on my channel, and maybe, who knows, maybe some of my viewers would want to help you with your charity." And she said, "Oh my goodness, that would be wonderful." So here's what I found out. So guitaristforgood.org. The person I talked to, her name was Sandy, and you can go to their website and vet them and check them out. They're a legit 501c3 and all those things. Okay, but here's what I found out. So what Sandy's organization does. So Sandy's organization receives donations, financial donations, and then Sandy's organization purchases guitars, and then Sandy's organization donates those guitars to residential housing programs. So some of you may be familiar what I mean when I say a residential program. So a residential program usually means maybe a person who's homeless, and so think what is unfortunately called a homeless shelter, okay? Or maybe it's a person who's been incarcerated and they've come out of incarceration and they're living in what some people would unfortunately call a halfway house. I know that these are not politically correct terms. I'm just trying to get the point across of maybe in a way that you can relate to if you're not familiar with the language that I'm using. So for people who are displaced, maybe people who are going through a period of homelessness, maybe someone who's going through a re-entry process, maybe somebody who's just going through a tough time like addiction or recovery. And so you might think about a recovery program or an addiction program. Or maybe it's a woman who's going through a pregnancy, and so it's like a pregnancy house with lots of other young ladies or women who are going through a pregnancy and just need a place and a space, man. Having a safe space in life to hang out when you're really going through something, man, is just critical to. And a lot of us have been there. I know you have. And so I started talking to Sandy, and I said, "Sandy, man, that is fantastic." And Sandy told me a little bit about her story and how her organization started. And we got to talking about just how the value of music and how for a guitar player to just be able, in the midst of those kind of really just horrible circumstances, just have a guitar to play and just for a few minutes, man, get away and experience just a calmness and just a breath of life, if you will, and just be able to chill in the midst of some really bad stuff. And so I said, Sandy, okay, I need to know, how can I help you? Two questions. One, how can I help you? And two, can I make a video about your organization, put it on my channel, and try to get the word out about what you're doing? And she said, sure, let me tell you how you can help. So from Sandy, this is what I picked up, right? So if you want to help, man, we've been walking together a little bit, and those of you who have subscribed to the channel and liked the channel and just watch my videos and are talking, we're having great conversation, what I would even dare say fellowship in the comments, and we're building some relationships. So we've got this little YouTube community, right, of guitar players. And I said, how can my little community of guitar players that I hang out with, how can we help you? So there's two ways that you could really help Sandy's organization. The first way is to make a financial contribution. I don't work for Sandy's organization. I didn't even know her organization existed until today. But as soon as I learned about it, I went to the website, I read everything I could, I talked to Sandy, and I went straight out to her Support Us link and went to PayPal and dropped a few bucks out there, man, because I want to get the guitar in the hands of a person who's going through it, because I know what music has done for my life. And I know what a blessing that it can be, particularly in times of depression and angst. And maybe you can relate to all that, man. So one way, you could go out to guitarsforgood.org, and I'll drop the website in the description. I'll go ahead and drop the direct link to her PayPal. And it's a legit 501c3 and all that. But I'll drop those in the description, man. And so one way, man, you could give a financial contribution, $5, $10, whatever, $25, whatever you want to do, man, and help to put a guitar in the hands of a person who's going through something. So the other way you can help, and a lot of us live in communities or in areas, and maybe you keep driving by a place and it's kind of a shelter kind of a place, or maybe it's an addiction recovery center, or maybe it's a place where women who are going through pregnancy live in, or maybe it's just like a local community organization, a nonprofit, maybe it's a ministry to church. I don't know what it might look like for you, but they work with people who are going through hard times. Sandy would love to be able to hang out with all those people who run those kind of places and provide a guitar to them. Man, what a great opportunity, man. So one, you could, man, join my wife and I in giving a few bucks to Sandy's org. What a joy it was, man, to give a little bit out there toward this. And two, man, if you have an organization, a shelter, a program in your area, and they're working with people who are really going through a tough time, man, tell them about Sandy's organization. Her email is on the website. Encourage that program to contact Sandy, and let's see, man, if we can't get more guitars out to people who are really going through something. There's real power that you and I have to be influences of good in the world, man. And music is such a great way of doing that. And you're here on a channel talking about guitars and life because you dig guitars. So you already know, man, I don't have to convince you the value of music. But hey, let me just share a brief story if you don't mind. It's actually a story from the Hebrew Scriptures. It's the story of a king named Saul. And Saul would have this sort of fits of rage and anger and great depression. And he would just get all kind of just tormented, like for real tormented. And God provided a young man who was in Saul's court. And his name was David, long before he became King David of the Bible, if you know anything about that. And again, I'm not selling Bibles to you. I'm just telling a story. Because when I talked to Sandy, this story was the first thing that came to my mind. So the Bible says, the story says that God gave David his spirit, filled him with his spirit, and David, guess what David was? He was a musician, dude. He played a stringed instrument, a lot like what we would think of a guitar today, thousands of years later. And the story says that every time that young man played the stringed instrument before the king just kind of went, and all that hard stuff that he was going through, and that angst and that depression and those feelings and that rage left the king. Well, man, you and I have got a great opportunity today by helping Sandy to be that kind of force for good in the world by giving the gift of music to people. Man, just what would it be like? I mean, just think about your life for a minute, man. What would your life be like if for some reason you lost your employment, or got to a point, or fell into addiction, or some kind of natural disaster happened and you no longer had a house to live in, and there you are just kind of getting by, and all your guitars were lost, man. And you were just going to this shelter, this safe space, on the daily, or maybe you lived there in that safe space. And one day, man, somebody walked in with a guitar. All right, Sean. Hey, man, plenty of bass. Sean, let me tell you what came to my mind, man. The minute I said that, Rush 2112, man. Remember that song, man? That is the great 21-minute rock opera. Guys, you don't know anything about this. This is back when albums were cool, man. And this guy goes to this cave and he finds this instrument, man, this guitar, and he plays it, and it sounds so beautiful to him. Now, unfortunately, unlike the biblical story, this cat takes the music to the powers that be, and the powers that be, no, man, we ain't having none of that, and they crush the guy's spirit, and they kick him out, and all that kind of stuff, man. And, it's a riot. Rush 2112, my favorite album of all time, but I digress. What would it be like, man, for somebody to walk up to you if you were in a place where all your guitars were lost, you didn't have the money, you didn't have a safe place to pick and just sit for a minute and play, and for somebody to provide that to you? Here's a guitar, man. Let's hang out, let's play a few chords, let's jam. Can you imagine the joy that you would experience, man? I hope that you'll join my wife and I. Make a financial contribution to guitaristforgood.org, or maybe talk to a residential organization that's helping people who are going through a tough time. And let's put guitars in the hands of people who are going through tough times. Well, man, whatever kind of times you're having and wherever you are in your guitar journey, man, I pray it's a safe trip for you. And rock on with your bad selves. And as always, man, I got to go, but I'll catch y'all down the road.